Coach Rack, first off, thank you for joining me on Faith on the Field show. Absolute honor to have you on. And before we get into the really important stuff and talking about the work that the Lord has done in your life, here's a question from the first time I ever saw the Savannah Bananas. At what point do you realize you can do a backflip and catch a baseball in the air? Like, how does that even develop? How do you even have that, formulate that thought to say, to become and be able to do everything that you guys do?
Well, yeah, that all starts from the top of Jesse Cole. He has a vision for creating a new sport that's a variation of baseball that's it's even more entertaining. As far as the backflip catch specifically, Dr. Meadows, our center fielder, was the first one to ever do it. I don't think I ever would have been the first to try that. I think that sounds insane, but once Dr. did it, it was kind of like the 4 minute mile, and it was like, all right, well, I guess it's possible. So I started learning it last year when I first joined the team, and now it's kind of became a little bit like second nature. So, but yeah, it's fun seeing the guys on the field like really push the limits of what we even thought was possible.
Listen, I played college ball. I know what it takes. You're out there, you're fielding fly balls, you're fielding fungos, you're doing everything. How much do you have to practice that? Like, how often are you doing that? And obviously, in practice, it's not gonna work out every time. So, how does that work out?
It's a steep learning curve at first, especially with the trick plays. When everyone first joins banana ball and you try to catch a ball behind the back for the first time, like it takes some time to get used to it. It also takes time to get comfortable in front of all of these people. We're playing in front of really large crowds, and so so much of baseball growing up is so rigid. It's like, all right, you do things the right way, and so playing banana ball, like the idea of flipping it behind the back just because you can to get it out in front of a bunch of people. It's a very foreign concept. So it takes some time, I think, for a lot of the players to get comfortable doing these things they would never be comfortable doing on the field, things that would normally be frowned upon. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of adjusting, but yeah, we definitely practice all throughout the week and all that good stuff. A lot of work goes into it.
You mentioned the rigidity of baseball and frowned upon, and obviously there's the old school mentality, right? Baseball is the way it was played a certain way, and the bat flips, some people frown upon that, some people don't like the bat flips, and all those things. How do you incorporate? Do you even hear that? Do you still hear some folks out there who look at banana ball and go, as you guys are selling out Yankee Stadium, you're selling out Citizens Bank Park, you're selling out Raymond James Stadium. I'm here in Tampa. It's a football stadium, and you're selling it out. So there's a strong, incredible fan base. Yet, do you still hear some of the people, the old school mentality, like what are they doing in baseball?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Especially if you go on Twitter, for some reason, people on, or I guess it's X now, but especially you go on there, it's like people really have strong opinions about what the Bananas are doing. The way I see it, it's a completely different sport. It's based off of baseball, obviously, and there is still traditional baseball, like MLB is still happening. What the Bananas are doing, though, I think is appealing to a larger audience and making the game a little more entertaining and accessible to maybe people who don't ordinarily have a background in baseball. I think that if you have a background in baseball, you can still go to a Bananas game and see a guy throw it 90 miles an hour with, good breaking pitches, and you'll still see some really good baseball if that's still what it is at its core. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of criticism out there, like, oh, what are you guys doing to the game? And it's like, the way we see it, it's like we're not trying to change baseball in and of itself. We're trying to build a new sport in its own category, and it's been fun to be a part of that.
I think that's a great way, the criticism, to transition to what we really want to talk about because as someone who's had a platform not quite like yours on social media, I've often been, I mean, people have criticized you on X, on Twitter over anything, sports opinion, picking a game that they don't like, whatever it is. So I'm out there and I get that criticism. But being as a man of faith, like I always want to hold myself to that standard to don't respond. Whatever is the first thought in your mind, don't answer it back that way. Show people love. And I have a great story I've shared about somebody who hated on me for a long time. And I told him, hey, I'll pray for you. And he just hated on me more. And I said, hey, I'll pray for you. And then he eventually reached out to me and said he listened to my show and he was going through some addiction and he got sober and he got baptized and he wanted to let me know had I not offered to pray for him, he may not have listened to that episode where we talked about breaking
Wow.
the chains of addiction. So I think it's important that way. How much does your faith help you deal with not just negativity, but the positivity, but the all the praise, all of the everything that you're getting, both good and bad. How do you rely, Coach Rack, on your faith to kind of help you balance that out, knowing that, hey, you can't always please people. And if you're trying to seek people's approval, you're not going to be satisfied. It's ultimately trying to please God.
Yeah, dude, work heartily unto God and not unto man is a verse that comes to mind. I feel like there are so many unique challenges with the lifestyle that we live. Traveling all the time. It's so awesome. I get to have my wife with me pretty much everywhere that we go on the road this year. That was a big thing for me this year. Um, but yeah, I feel like there's a couple things I've noticed. One, the criticism is a lot easier to endure when you have your identity in something else. So, I had that spill on ESPN, or not ESPN, on CNN a couple weeks ago, and obviously had tons of just negative, comments and as to be expected. But with that, it was like in as far as how I felt, I was like, well, God still sees me the same. He doesn't care if I miss a backflip. He still loves me all the same. He's the one who created me. His opinion is the one that matters. And so because of that, like I can go through these failures. I can have an embarrassing moment on the field or even on social media, and I can still not have my peace interrupted too much. That being said, when we have days like really good days on the field, like I hit a home run to win the game, or people are saying all these high things about me, that I almost feel like can be more corrupting than even the negative comments. The negative comments can sometimes stir up some like anger or those kinds of emotions, but I feel like the big moments I think stir up pride, which I think ends up being a lot more dangerous. And it's been really helpful having my teammates around me to keep me grounded and to be able to get into the word and study. And it's like this constant battle for, I think, a lot of us players, uh, trying to remember that like the praise that we're getting from people is fleeting, and it doesn't truly satisfy our soul, and it's not necessarily even good for us to receive that praise. But we have to receive it in some sense. So I feel like this constant balance of like, okay, let's receive this praise, but then also give praise where praise is actually due to the creator, the giver of all of these good things. And so it's a constant balance of like, okay, let's redirect people to where praise needs to be due, and then really be watchful over our own hearts and be like, okay, let's not let pride seep in and think more highly of ourselves than we ought. Let's make sure we remember that like we are beloved by God, and that's where our value comes from. Not because we are performing well on the field, not because people are seeing us in this positive light, but it is a constant battle. It's a constant balance, and I certainly have not perfected it.
Well, you have hit a walk-off homer, and you have hit it on a big stage, and you did it at Camden Yards. And in that moment, like I've talked to players who've won Super Bowls, I've talked to players who've won World Series, and that moment is so high, right? And you're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy or the World Series trophy or whatever it may be. But then the next day, it's like life is back to normal. So you work so hard for all of that those accolades and that accomplishment. And then the next day, it's like life is back to normal. And I kind of work that into really for us as believers, our ultimate victory shouldn't be that championship. Our ultimate victory is winning souls for the kingdom. How do you, when you have those moments, what goes through your mind when you hit that walk-off homer at Camden Yards the next day? What was it like for you the next day? And how did you talked a little bit now about the good and the bad and how the good can sometimes be more corruptive. What did you go through the next day and the next couple of days after that?
Yeah, so right after the game, we actually went back to the hotel, and a bunch of the guys got our laptops together, and we played Minecraft until about like 5 a.m. Um, I, so that's like actually what we did, which was really fun. It was like, yeah, me, Andy Archer, Reese Alexiades, Ryan Cox, bunch of the guys together. We literally played Minecraft for like 4 or 5 hours after the game. So that's how I immediately responded. The next day, went out and got lunch with some friends. Slept in. It was awesome. But I will say that there's like this time of like recorrecting after a big moment like that. I experienced this also after I hit that home run at Nationals Park last year, and it's almost like for a little while, like you had such a overstimulation of like such a chemical high in your body, and then your body like recorrects and you go like down low. And I always feel so low energy the days following, and like almost not sad, like I still feel okay, but um, just low. And it takes some time to get back to here. The only thing that I found like helpful during that process is reading. I feel like if I read in scripture or just read anything or journal or like or go for a walk, do some activity that is slow. A lot of times that kind of helps me kind of recorrect a little bit and get back to feeling normal. Because seriously, like the couple days afterwards, you feel like depleted, and you feel like you lack enjoyment in the like little things throughout the day. So yeah, it's a weird feeling to express, but that's a little bit of like kind of my experience with it.
You just mentioned that home run at Nationals Park, and you played minor league ball with the Nationals, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that home run came 3 years to the anniversary of when you
Of getting
signed,
signed, yeah,
of getting
yeah.
signed with the Nationals. Sometimes I'm a believer in numbers. 3 years, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I wear the number three for the Deacon's Prison Ministry. Did you ever correlate that? Like, wow, 3 years to the day, man of faith. Like, anything go through your mind along those lines?
Dude, yeah, I don't, I have no idea what was up with that, but there's something to it, man. That was the most unbelievable like day, and it certainly wasn't a coincidence. It was such an encouragement to me and has been such an encouragement to me just that day. Not that it matters too much how I perform on the field or anything like that, but it really just felt like God was winking at me and was like, I got you. Like, like, um, and I don't know how to describe it, but there was definitely something special about that. And yeah, three years to the day was a little nuts.
Tell me about the faith journey of some of your teammates. And I know there was a Bible study challenge or something along those lines that you guys did together. It's always great to do worship in community, right? When you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, and that certainly has got to help with life and travel and being on the road and all of the dangers that can come along. What is that like on Savannah Bananas? We see you guys worshiping, we see you guys praying, we see all that stuff. Tell me a little bit about it.
We meet every week and go through a book of the Bible. So we went through John, we went through Romans. Right now, we're going through Acts, and we've been working our way through books. Most go chapter by chapter every week, and we'll have somebody lead. So sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Andy Archer, sometimes it's Dr. Meadows, sometimes it's Bill Leroy. We got a lot of guys on our team who will lead, and we'll just take turns going verse by verse and see what the text said in its original context, and then pray over it and see how it applies to us. And but we have you made that a practice, and we don't miss any week. We always meet. We'll also meet with the opposing teams because we're all under the same organization. We're all traveling together. So a lot of times, if we're playing against the party animals, we'll have some party animal players out there. If we're playing against the tailgaters, we'll have some tailgaters out there. If we're playing against the firefighters, same thing. So we have this Bible study every week, which has been awesome and it's been really helpful. We had two public worship nights that we've hosted outside of the stadium, and that has been really encouraging. We had hundreds of people come out on short notice, and it was so encouraging seeing all of that get put together. Like lots of stuff went down there. Like when I was at Biola University years back, I met this guy Mackay, and he's a worship leader. And so he would lead worship for us at FCA at the time when we were when we were at Biola together in California. And earlier this year, we were praying regularly, like, God, I pray that there would be someone who could lead us in musical worship here every week, because I feel like it's something that we really want or feel like we're missing is the singing songs. And so, yeah, literally just like a few days after praying that, Mackay shoots me a text and is like, hey, I just got stationed out here in Savannah. Like we should hang out. I was like, yeah, like you should come to one of our Bible study. Like we got one tomorrow. And he was like, do you need a worship leader? We're like, yes, we do. And so anyways, from that, we ended up having a couple worship nights. And he's also been joining us on our Bible studies when we're in town here in Savannah. Our last worship night was probably about a month ago. I haven't been home in a month. We've been on the road this whole time, so we definitely want to do more of those. I feel like it's a really cool outreach and ministry, and good to hear players' testimonies because all of ours are so similar. It's like the things of the world do not satisfy you. They do not satisfy your soul like you think that they will. So don't chase those things. Like find your identity in the one who created you. Find your identity in Christ. So it's encouraging having those. We want to have more in the future, but that's a little bit of a picture as to what it looks like. I will say it is tough still, like not having a local church to be a part of and to serve in. You know, there's a church that we do like attend when we're in town, but I feel like we're not really too connected to that body of believers because we're just never there. So that is tough, and I know sometimes it's tough on my wife Gigi and some of the other spouses also, but that's just a little picture of what we got.
Man, I'm getting chills as you're talking about worship night outside because it's been a vision, a goal of mine to do faith on the field inside a stadium that's filled, where we share testimonies, we have worship, and it's the logistics are difficult sometimes. My moment of coming to Christ was pretty dramatic. It was sports was heavily involved in my life and my career. I started living. You talk about the team called the Party Animals. I was a party animal, partying with the players who I was covering in sports, who were hanging out with in bars, clubs, different women, all that stuff, and it led me down the wrong path. Now I pray with players, so it's completely different. I had a moment, I had a dramatic turn. I accepted Jesus Christ at Times Square Church. I know the date, I know where it was, I know how it impacted my life, how I went from a fan to a follower to a disciple for the Lord. Do you have a testimony like that, or was it gradual? Was it accepting Christ as a kid? What is your story?
Yeah, I always start my story talking about my parents. My parents weren't believers. They got married and came to know the Lord after 5 years of being married. They wanted kids and couldn't have kids. Came to know the Lord, and 3 months later, were pregnant with my sister. And so both my sister and I were raised in a very like a new believer household, and I was homeschooled my whole life growing up, and yeah, I never, I can't point to a specific moment like you can in my life, but there was never a time where I didn't believe in Jesus and didn't believe in God, and there was never a moment where I doubted either like my own depravity. Like I think from a young age, I understood like, okay, no, I'm a sinner. I'm a broken person. I feel like I've had a pretty good understanding of that for as long as I can remember. So my testimony is one of I feel like continual refinement where I get, when I was 13, 14 and, starting to like make decisions for myself. And, I think God really had his hand on my life during that time and just continue. Yeah, I could point to so many moments in my life. Don't want to get down too much of a rabbit trail, but I think that, yeah, there's never been a time where I haven't known Jesus, and I'm very thankful to my parents for that. We still have an amazing relationship with them, and um, yeah, I also feel like the older I get, the more I realize how sinful I am and how selfish my desires are. I feel like just more things come to the surface the older I get. And I do see, and I'm encouraged at the way that the Spirit has been refining me. So it's not to say that I'm not seeing good fruit in my life. I am, and I'm encouraged by it. But I think the older I get, the more I realize I don't have it figured out, and I think I'm having to walk by faith, and I think that faith that I've had from a very young age, and I'm not even sure when that started.
Well, you're still at a young age, man, and it's amazing. It's incredible to see you using your platform. We have a saying, my story, his glory, and you're sharing your story all for his glory. I love what you're doing on the field, love what you're doing off the field for the kingdom. Really appreciate your time, Coach Rack. So thank you so much and wish you a ton of blessings.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me, Rob.